What is a completely normal thing that society seems to frown upon? Calling in sick for work. It's ridiculous how guilty I feel calling in sick, but I was literally in the hospital yesterday and another 2 times in the past 3 weeks. When I first started working in retail, I fell really ill a few weeks in. I was so sick I eventually had to go to the hospital for severe nausea and dehydration from dry heaving/vomiting over 15 hours. I knew that night I wouldn't be able to make it in the next day and called the store at closing. I was crying and my words were seriously slurred because of how much pain I was in from the nausea. Point is, I sounded like I was in bad shape. My manager thought this was the perfect time to lecture me on how, for future reference, you are responsible for finding your own coverage and how he now has to find coverage for me on such short notice. Like, I'm sorry, but I didn't inconvenience you on purpose. I was genuinely sick as shit and he knew it because he saw me at work that day and I had to leave early. Edit. One of my coworkers told me one of our managers asked them if they could still come in for a few hours after they told her that they were sick with the flu. They didn't come in, but they were obviously and rightfully like, what the fuck. Boy, do I have a story. I worked at the front end of my local big chain grocery store. I have since moved to the dairy department. Anyway, this was when I was 6 months into the job. I started out bagging groceries and gathering carts to bring them in. To that point I never missed a day that I was scheduled. I was one of the hardest workers in the front end. It was around Thanksgiving and I'm running like a 102-degree fever. This is the sickest I've ever been in my life. I call in and tell the front end manager that I'm way too sick to come in. She proceeds to berate me. She tells me it's almost Thanksgiving and we need all hands on deck. She doesn't care that I'm sick and she tells me to lay down and take a couple of aspirins. I tell her I won't be in as I don't have the energy to get out of bed. So a couple of days pass and I'm feeling the same. Instead of calling off like I did a couple of days before, I decided to avoid the tongue lashing that I would get for calling off 2 shifts in a row. I go into my shift with a fever, chills, and body aches. Of course they put me on carts. I could hardly walk and hardly breathe. The checkout coach came out and yelled at me for going too slow. I told her that I was sick and she brought me inside. The next day I looked like death. My mom was so concerned that she took me to the doctors. It turned out that I had pneumonia and mono. I ended being out of work for at least a month. When I came back I was talking to this girl who had the same experience. She said she came into work with a fever and she worked the salad bar. Declining invitations to social events because the person would rather be left alone. I have found the most accepted honest response to invitations like that is to simply say I really appreciate that you thought of me, but honestly there has been so much going on that I was really looking forward to some time at home to recharge. I would love though if you thought of me again next time. Being single but also not wanting to date. As someone who fits this description I 100% agree. I find it really weird how many people I've known who have been so uncomfortably determined to see me have a boyfriend. Like, sorry, I don't want one. It's not going to happen. And this doesn't personally affect you at all. Talking about periods. One day my male cousin wanted to know why I didn't want to swim. I said, oh, I'm on my period. He said, oh, okay. Then went to swim. Our grandma said to never say that, especially to a boy. Most of my guy friends in HS were fine with it. That, and a period being a completely legit cause to call in sick. When I tell my boss I don't feel well, and he asks me what's wrong, and I reply period pain, he suddenly doesn't want to hear anything about it. Even worse are people who think it's not a legitimate pain and just some made up female hysteria. Not caring about moving up the economic ladder. God, am I feel this. Why don't people understand I'm just fucking chillin', doing honest work for honest pay, and loving life for what it's worth. Get off my back. My parents. Every job has value. Nothing shameful about being a janitor / retail / server / blue collar. Also my parents. When are you getting your masters? This is just a temporary job, right? What are you working towards? Didn't mean to have so many, but it sort of got away from me. Being too introverted. A lot of sex related things in general, especially certain kinks. Not having strong political leanings. Enjoying anything when you're supposedly not part of the target demographic. Adults watching cartoons, men watching romance movies, women playing violent video games, men drinking mixed drinks, women drinking straight vodka, etc. Men having feelings, women being strong, physically, mentally, or emotionally, eating alone. I'm actually too shy and anxious to go to a restaurant alone, but I wish it wasn't a thing people cared about. Actually, going out anywhere alone. Seeing a movie, going to a fair or amusement park, the beach, the park, a play, a concert, anything. Not being in a relationship. Married couple not wanting children. Actually, women not wanting children, regardless of marital status. Having hobbies that you could make a profit from, but not doing so. My own hobbies include graphic design and writing fiction, but I'm completely uninterested in actually improving my lackluster artistic talents, and I only write for fun, not profit. Taking a break from anything for the sake of mental health or just for fun. Wasting time is how people usually refer to it, which is pretty telling. Farting. Every single human being with an intact functioning bowel anus farts. Animals fart. Everyone feels relief when they fart. We all love to fart. We all hate when others fart. But farting is beautiful. We should love farting. Imagine the world where farting is just as normal as breathing, no matter the smell or any additional unexpected accompanying diarrhea, for which one has to run very hastily to the bathroom to pursue furious cleanup. It would be glorious. I'll take fart fetish for 300 Alex.